Alrighty, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to our first proper Monday painting session, if you want to call it that. Today, we're just going to be working on getting some of these troopers painted back up. These are the original troopers from the first core set that I got that I stripped down and am going to repaint just because it seems like you need so many rebels on the field for them to be useful. I've never played the rebels, even though it was one of the first two things that I bought. It just, I don't know, I played the Empire for a lot, and there was a lot of new stuff for me to get and want to play with at that point. And oh, sorry about that. I'm pulling up the chat here. All right. But yeah, the Empire, there was so much new stuff for me to get and that I wanted to use at that point that the Rebels just never made sense, and then I went straight into the clones. Some of you might have seen this poor soul in a short recently. This was kind of my test model. I am matching them to a set of troopers that I have already that I printed. I still need to maybe do some silver on this, and I want to change the color of the hat. And I don't love the Ewok on his base. It's a little crowded, but he's there now, so whatever. But yeah, I'm going with kind of like a Rogue One, Scarif kind of vibe. Let me turn this down just a smidge. So, you know, tan, blue, brown. If I think about it, some smidges of yellow as an accent, maybe. Could have brought the other ones up here, but you may or may not have seen them in a battle report. I'm not actually sure on that one. But yeah, so these guys, the way that I paint troops, at least, is very batch painty in a hit the blue, just pick out a bunch of spots of blue. So, you know, some of them are going to have blue pants, some of them are going to have tan pants, some of them are going to have black boots, some are going to have brown boots, that kind of stuff. Try not to put too much thought into it, try to make them not look super weird, but then still make them look cohesive in some capacity. So, and once we're done with this stream, I will be working on stuff for the Thursday solo battle report-esque type stream thing. Our tabletop Thursday is what we're going with. It's going to be special operations, which I've only ever played one time, but we're going to be subbing in the Bad Batch in a kind of like a narrative game, and I'm really excited about it actually because I've only ever played it once, and the fact that I get to use the Bad Batch in more of a specific or like more of a thematic feeling way to the Bad Batch is cool. So I'm really looking forward to that. I've done a little bit of work on that. I still have to record some stuff for that to get ready for that, but I'm looking forward to that. So if you want to join, that'll be Thursday, probably at 4:15, 4:30. And I don't know if I'm going to need the wet palette today. I have it out because that's probably how I'm going to do skin tones, but as you might be able to see on this guy, I don't love it. I kind of want to see if I can get the Fanatic paint line of skin tones, so you have like just a range of skins that I could choose from. Because really the only two skin tones that I have right now that I care for are these two skin tones. And I'm trying to kind of do a wash over it, and then come back with this, and then do the other skin tone on top of it just to get a little bit more color out of it, but I'm not having a whole lot of success. But So this isn't as much of a learning, practicing thing, because it's just not worth basically the result that I'm going to get out of it with speed paints for this application is exactly what I'm looking for. Now this dude, I did go in with some mixed up blues and stuff and did a little bit of highlighting on him because he was the lead guy, but it's just not, I don't want to put that kind of time into them, especially because right now I'm not even playing Rebels. So these are just there for whoever uses them, which I want to get some more stuff. I think I want to get some more ATRTs and then maybe I'll try some Rebels, but we'll see. But for now, we've got some brown that we need to hit. So some of these guys are going to have the grayish white sleeves stay exposed just for a little bit more diversity. But like all the backpack straps are going to be brown. All of these gloves are going to be brown. All the belts are going to be brown. But I don't really know what I want to do with like these types of pouches yet. Because I could just make them brown, and maybe I should. Trying to look, there's, yeah, like this. So like this dude, he only had a tiny little smidge of brown belt, and then around the back. So I could just make that brown just to add brown to the figure, but I don't know. But for now, we're going to start with hitting some boots, which looks like it's just this guy, some gloves, and some backpack straps. And for that, we're using probably one of my favorite colors. And that's Fire Drake from Speed Paint. I do want to try the contrast paints just because I've never used them. And I'm kind of curious how similar they are from a finish perspective. Get this little piece of rubber paint off of here. Because I would imagine it's a similar result to the speed paints, where there's some colors that are really, really good and they dry and settle and do all the things you would want them to, and then there's some colors that just absolutely don't and dry really splotchy. Like Bony Matter, which is the tan color I'm using, it's easily one of my favorite colors in speed paints just because it seems to always look really good no matter what you put it on. The navy is kind of hit or miss. Most of the time I put a little bit of medium in there just to try to help it a little bit, but it wants to dry kind of splotchy. A lot of the blues I've noticed don't play super nice. So like this dude's head, I'm probably gonna go in and try to paint a intentional highlight over top of that because he got a little splotchy on his head. So I'd be curious to know with the contrast paints if they're better or worse, basically the same. I don't think there's any world where they would be better enough to justify the cost, but you know. And it is kind of funny considering I have talked about painting with purpose rather than completion, but when it comes to these Rebels, I don't exactly have a ton of inspiration to make them anything other than what I'm going to, and that's basically just to match the kind of quote-unquote new age Rebels that I have. Honestly, I'm kind of wanting to rebase almost everything just because I feel like my bases are rather lazy. So that's a case of kind of finding something that I liked and that looked better than what I had and running with it. And then, you know, you do like 200 models, you kind of get stuck with that scheme, I guess. But, you know, it's something I might want to change at some point. And because like I see a lot of Rebels that are done up with like the tall, like indoor-esque, you know, fern leaves and stuff. I'd assume that those are resin printed. I don't know if I could find a file for that and just print off a bunch of leaves. And you'll also notice, typically, I don't use a paint handle for painting most things. That is just a preference. I feel like when I can, you know, kind of hold the whole thing within my hand and then lay my hand on the desk and then come in, you know, I can get a little bit more of a steady thing versus like holding it, you know, on a base and trying to get it. But again, I have rather shaky hands, so that might just be a me thing. And obviously some days are better and worse than others. Today they're feeling a little extra shaky. But I also feel like I notice that tends to dissipate a little bit, you know, once you get going. I'll say I've also noticed with speed paint over, you know, a while that having like things like a belt where, you know, you kind of are trying to be careful, keep it within a certain space and get coverage but not flood out an area. I have a hard time getting you know, as far as like speed paint contrast goes, like a good coverage. So like that not splotchiness where like you get it on there and it's able to settle and do what it needs to do. I'm not entirely sure why. I mean, maybe it's a hesitation to put too much on a brush, perhaps. Pretty sure I painted this guy's hands blue the first time because I didn't even realize he's wearing gloves. And then sometimes you get a strap like that where kind of falls where you would want it to fall. So yeah, I'm not 100% sure what the cause of that is or how you avoid that. And I've seen stuff that talks about like not painting over a spot that you've already got paint on it as little as possible, but that doesn't seem to be super consistent either in terms of results. There's times I will very much so paint over the same spot and it will come out just fine, and then I'll barely or even in one pass cover a spot and it comes out super patchy and weird. So yeah, I don't know, the speed paints and stuff are weird. I'd be curious to see if we end up with a more of a reliable one coat solution like a contrast or a speed paint that is like user proof in a sense. Because as dummy proof and as useful as speed paints are, there is most certainly a learning curve. And in my experience, to some degree, a bit of inconsistency even. I don't care about getting up under that because you'll never see it. Yeah, I don't know if I'm in love with the scheme, the way it's landing on these guys. The guys that I printed feel like came out pretty well, but yeah, obviously they were wearing different stuff. Kind of want to add a little tiny bit of medium to this. Some speed paint medium. Also, sorry for talking quiet. I am typically a little bit more focused for one, chilled out, relaxed, whatever you want to call it, when I'm doing this kind of stuff. So I'm a little quieter, but I'm also trying not to move my hands all over the place. Also, 2 side notes. The other day, I watched 1917 for the first time. I'd never seen that. That was very good. And I watched, I think it's called Outlaw Kings? Something like that. I watched that today. I'm just going to cover that up because I can. And that was also very good. I know that specifically had a little bit more of like a mixed response to it, but it had Chris Pine in it, and I like Chris Pine a lot, so I watched that. It was pretty good. It ended strong. I understand why it was as messy as it was, though, that's for sure, because it moved very quick, and there was not a whole lot of dialogue or like motivation behind things, it seemed. The timeline of things was hard to keep track of, but all things considered, I enjoyed it. And that is on Netflix. I am painting over the belt buckles, but that's because I'm going to come back with a normal acrylic silver afterwards, so it doesn't matter if they get covered. And honestly, them having a darker coat is better anyways. So it's a definite downside of painting like this is I'm already kind of sick of painting this brown color. I'm painting a bunch of the same things. I'm painting a bunch of gloves or a bunch of backpacks or a bunch of belts. But this is definitely quicker, and you save paint. Crazy, those two tiny little drops of medium that I put in there thinned it down a whole lot more than it usually does, but I am a-okay with that. This gives me a little bit of diversity amongst the browns, even though I'm using the same color. Personally, I really do not like the hardened leather color. I think it's awful. I don't know if I just don't use it correctly, but it dries very glossy, way more than most of these, and it's very orange. Fire Drake honestly is the best leathery, kind of like a good dark leather brown that I have used. I don't really like the dark browns, like the satchel brown, or it's supposed to be a belt, but the dark wood or the satchel brown are two of those colors that just dry very splotchy and weird. I don't use them a whole lot. Yeah, this dude I think looks pretty good. Color palette wise anyways. Alright, so that was the last brown. Not to say there won't be more brown because of the hats, but I'm gonna do their hats I think last, so I can get a kind of a good idea of what we're looking like. Because theoretically I could still go all with a blue topped hat and a tan rest of it. Which, I don't know, maybe. And then or do I go with some navy rims and I can paint in some like yellow lines on them? Maybe that's what I'll do. And I could paint some blue lines on some of the tan rims. So yeah, maybe we'll invert the hat on some of them just for the sake of it, which also has a possibility of looking a little silly. But again, my goal here isn't perfection. The goal is having enough rebels for them not to be killed in 2 turns. And no matter how these come out, they're going to be a large improvement over how they were. So whatever. Okay. Let's base coat some faces here. Which again, I'm going to say this every time I use it, because the odds of me using it incorrectly are probably pretty good. I don't know how to use a wet palette entirely, but I do like it better than a dry palette, because the little bit of wet that I do get out of it, it does its job. I can use a color and come back to it in a little while and it still be good. So that's the goal. I think with these faces, I might just do a Crusader skin speed paint over it, and then do this, and then do the Vallejo skin, just because I think I tried Warrior skin or something darker of a speed paint over this, and I did not like it. So get out a good amount of this here. They also, on these original Rebels, really liked goatees, it would seem. I also think that I'm not thinning stuff enough. But I still haven't really found a good way to tell. Because I feel like there's times I put it on my hand or something and it looks fine. And then it isn't. So this should be good. Partially because I'm hoping that this is good. I'm going to use this brush here. This dude actually almost looks like he has a scarf on or something. I'm not even gonna try to get that anywhere near where his neck looks like it might be. To be honest, it's not super obvious, and I can get away with not doing that. So I'm not gonna. still feel like this could be and even more. Definitely going to be some cleanup, that's for sure. Don't like that. I mean, going on easier, but I almost kind of feel like it's thin too much. But I guess I'll wait and see when it's dry. I'm just painting right over the facial hair, and I'll just deal with it. I'll just deal with it afterwards. All right, so we give that guy enough time to dry. I wish I remembered which of these colors I used for this dude's head. Nope. Magic blue. I feel like it was tidal wave, I guess. But I like the way the highlights on his face. Came out. I just want to kind of fix the top. Well, even the top of his head's not that obvious. I don't know. Yeah, this is just a long playlist that is kind of generic sounding. Figured it was probably okay. It almost borderlines on too samey and repetitive, but oh well. See, that's like too bright. That'll be okay for some super light stuff, but I think we're gonna have to try to get there another way. So I'm gonna see if I can't darken this blue up just a little. Also funny how watery that sky blue is. It's like too pastel-y. Let's see. Let's see. Let's kind of turn the light a little. Doesn't seem just have to do his eyes red also. I'm trying to get a highlight on the top of his head to fix that kind of like splotchy portion on the top of his head. I can't imagine that comes through super well. It is rather subtle on top of his head. It just, because of where it is, it's like right on top of his head. It is kind of annoying to look at. So actually, maybe I'll just try to do a second coat of this speed paint and just put it on top of his head. And see if that settles that spot any, and let's see if I can't highlight off of that. I don't know, because kind of we'll just let him sit. We'll come back to that in just a second. All right, so face number one, definitely a little chalky. I kinda... Well, you know what? I'm not gonna put too much stock in it because I cleaned the paint off all these. I did not do a super thorough job. You know, I'm gonna say anything. So, you know, their faces probably are a little bit messy. But we're gonna do this paint over it to try to shade it a little bit, I think. Or do I dare try? You know what? This is what we're gonna do, because they're people, they're all gonna look different anyways. I just feel like these are too dark for just getting a little bit of shadow. It's got a little bit of a pinky hue in it. So we're gonna try these 3. And just see which of these colors I guess I like better. Because the plan is to probably go back over some spots with the base and then do a little bit of highlight, but I want to use this speed paint as kind of a wash, as a mid step. So I'm going to bring the trusty foot over here. I'll mix these guys up. And I'm going to set these in the order of which I'm putting them out. Which I will say, if you use these, especially if you use a darker colored one, like a blue or like a tan or something. Typically when I'm putting paints in these little wells, I will arrange them, you know, the way that they are on the palette, so I know 100% what's where, because these paints are so kind of watery, you can't really tell what something is most of the time by looking at it. Doing stuff like this, where I'm typically using like a one-off color, I won't bother typically. But because I'm doing something with these skin tones specifically that I want to know the results of, I'm gonna set them in the order that you know, they're in the palette on, so I know specifically which one's which. So first one's gonna get a good healthy dose of Crusader skin. Arguably too much of a healthy dose. Let's try to pull some of that off. You know what? We're just gonna leave it. We'll just let it do its thing and see, because typically I end up with like almost non-existent of a shade from doing this. Now we've got aged hide, which is very pinky looking. I feel like it's gonna be too red. That's not looking great, but it's okay. It's just the process. The test, worst case, we'll cover it up. Can't really see that guy's face. This is a good one. And this last one is Goddess Glow. tiny little bit of that away. Now I'm gonna let those dry before I do the other 3, just so that I know. And we'll see how that comes out. Oh, one of these days we're gonna paint all these Don't Look Back figures, but I am currently waiting on somebody to do that. And to be honest, they're sat here so long they're covered in dust and stuff. These models, I just don't like them, if I'm gonna be blunt. I don't have any real motivation to paint them, I guess. The casts themselves are very messy, it seems. The only one I'm looking forward to is the one of the killers, but I don't know, those models are just not super exciting to me in any capacity. Okay, yeah, those are still. This guy's still. You know, he's got a little bit of a dark spot on top of his head, which is the opposite of what we're going for, but that's okay. It gives us a little bit more even of a spot to work from. I wish I had more regular acrylic colors, because this one blue is terrible, because it is definitely purple. It is not a true blue color. I almost feel like I need to put a little bit of red in there. Let's see. Yeah, cyan or something. I don't know. Don't really have a good one of those options either. What happens if we bring a little red? Is it just going to get more purple? Gray? Okay, well, nobody ever said I was good at mixing anything, that's for sure. I'll throw shit at the wall and see what sticks, to be honest. Well, while we wait for those faces to dry, get a little bit of silver on their belts and perhaps their guns. And whether they want it or not, because these mainly look like leather straps that is just slipped through. I'm putting it on those anyways because I want to. And we'll come back to the guns. Yeah, that red is real red. That is not aged hide. That is sunburnt Elder Floridian. Yeah, I will say painting these old models after painting the newer stuff, I guess as much as I kind of have, you could definitely tell the softness, the kind of mushiness of these original figures. So as much as I didn't really care, I guess, originally, I understand why people want some of these early things resculpted. Now, I do love the ease of putting together these original ones. They just come in like little baggies of like 3 or 4 pieces and they just go together. It's so quick and easy versus clippers and sprues and, you know, the whole ordeal. But and while we're here, let's get this little guy. I'm just gonna hit their guns and whatever else gets hit along the way is fine. Hit the backs. It's a genuine shot. This has actually done a decent job of focusing on what I'm actually doing, but it does not like these rebels. Oh my gosh. Since I am painting something smaller, I could bring this in a little bit closer. Let's see if I can get. Not really. Try to get the light a little bit better, but not great. So this, it doesn't like focusing on these. I guess because they're so dark, kind of mushy colors. Yeah, God, that is awful, isn't it? That is just terrible. Oh my goodness. I think his face might have to be touched back up a little bit. That is terrible. I don't know how I feel about this one. Might try this one and just do the rebase coating over the top of that and just see kind of where it lands. Hell, maybe I'll do it for all of them just because. And then the Crusader skin is a little more subtle for just the dark spots, but it's not great either, to be fair. Okay, let's go back and hit some base coats back on these faces and see which of these colors are gonna work out, because I have a sneaking suspicion that none of them are gonna work out. Just because I don't really know how to paint faces. Oh no! What? Can't see over there, but this dude might be a lost cause anyways. These guys are looking rough. You know what? We're staying the course. We're staying the course. The only way we're going to get an accurate representation of what each of these colors would look like with this process. Which again, the process is probably kind of foolar before we really got going. Bother with above the lip because that's going to be covered. These poor guys are going to look like zombies, I think. Let that dry for a second. This dude's head dried so glossy. Why? Tell you what, speed paints drive me nuts sometimes. Okay, so we gotta figure out something. The top of his head. Just don't have the colors. If I have an old shitty acrylic blue that's close that I could just use as a base. These paints are pretty terrible, but might get me where at least to a starting point. Come on. Okay. And for somebody with not a good affinity for thinning anything, probably stay away from these colors. It's still kind of like, oh hell, that's actually closer than I thought. Okay. So oh no. Why is that so much brighter? Yeah, this paint's weird. Trying to cover up the glossy spot that was left on his head currently. Okay. Now just gonna try to take a little bit lighter and lighter of a color here, layer this up. So I'm not going to go to a pure white, obviously, but I just want the top of his head to be a lighter shade. And actually, I'm going to take that same blue and hit some of the spots on his face. Just to exaggerate them a little bit. Do wonder, let's I think that's all right. His forehead should probably be a little bit brighter just because of the way that his head's shaped, but I can live with that. Now I could probably take the top of his head a little bit brighter, but I'm not gonna, because I don't want to mess him up, and he looks okay. So these guys are looking very spray tanny, but you know, whatever. Ooh. really just didn't like the way that looked. Really don't like the way that looks in any capacity. But I cannot reach half of his face. But I'm assuming I'm gonna have to paint a whole lot of terrible faces before I get one good face. So that's the plan. You know, I kind of feel like the aged hide, like really aggressively red one, looks okay. Again, these are not good faces, but they are passable, squinty, kind of okay if you take a shot. Okay. And these faces make it really obvious how poorly cleaned they were from the first paint job. just gonna hit these with Crusader skin. Wish I hit this guy's eyes. I just wish I could make out where they were a little bit better. They're supposed to be rather large, but they look like they're kind of squinting, but yeah, they get a little lost in the sculpt / my poor cleaning of them. Okay. My paint's a little too thin. We kind of got there. Really hard to tell where that paint's supposed to be, but that looks pretty good to me. These poor souls. This dude's asking for a black mustache. I'm just gonna hit these with different shades of speed paint just to tint them slightly different color than skin. Which is made more difficult painting tiny little things. I'm not even gonna try to get this on camera really, because I can live with that little mustache. I feel like this guy also wants a little bit of a black beard, even though I know it's supposed to be white. I'm feeling like this one should be black. Talk about getting lost in the sculpt. This poor soul's goatee just got like a, I don't know what that dude's name is. I feel like this guy with his Doc Holliday wants it to be kind of orange. We're gonna go with Nuclear Sunrise. Hopefully this doesn't blow out orange. Just given the nature of this is something that would be better just hitting with a regular acrylic, just because of how small these details are. But whatever. Okay, all those faces sit. Get these hats. And I'm just gonna put this blue straight over this green. Because I just don't care. He's a rebel. He'll be dead in like 1 dice anyways, so it's fine. I don't feel like rebase coding that. Actually, I'm gonna do the markings in yellow on all their helmets, period. I don't care what color rim it has. very I like that color. It's too orange. This color I remember being yellowy colored. Let's see what this is. Not quite. They're both kind of right on the other end of the spectrum. Dare we go back to the shitty craft colors? This color sounds questionable. It almost looks like the wrong hue also, but yeah, it's a little green. That'll work. Yeah, we'll just yellow the. Yeah, let's just yellow the blue stripes, or the blue straps. Yes. Oh. Okay, this just looks ridiculous. One day, we're gonna figure out this whole face thing. But it certainly does not look like that's going to be today. But it's good. It's nice and smooth. And still gotta try to paint their eyes. Which, yeah, that's a whole nother thing. Honestly, this guy really my favorite, but I just don't really care for the color palette that I went with him on. But I'm gonna try to knock out these eyes quick, because the plan was to be done around 6. So, thank you. Although you have to say that. Not because you have to, but because there's nothing else you would say. This is gonna be something in it. This dude, he gonna look crazy. Kind of trying to insinuate eyes over, sorry, what is a rather messy paint stripping job. But right now they look like ghouls, so. Having kind of an eye is better than nothing. In our current predicament, which I don't have a problem just going in and cleaning up the bottom of these white spots with a little bit of something. That's an annoying sculpt. Okay. Do the pupils, relatively speaking. Then I'll try to clean up the bottom edge. Honestly, I don't even care. You get the idea. And I still have a whole another set of these to paint, of which I, if I'm being completely honest, don't want to paint because the rebels are so bad. Right now. So, to be fair, I also just picked a really bad time to paint rebels. Oh god. Let's see if we can. Match this. But at least looks like he's looking to one side. Oh, he sees you. Yeah, he sees everything. Yeah, I'm gonna keep that because it looks funny. Again, all their eye spots are so messy. It's like trying to paint on a patch of mashed potatoes. Yeah. They've got eyes, kind of. This gets me out of having to paint a second pupil because it's under hair. somewhat cross-eyed, so I'm gonna fix one of these eyes if nothing else. That'll do, pig, that'll do. Ow, God. Oh. Gotta paint a couple things with this color. Forgot part of that blue. Okay. I think that is it for these little rebel fuckers. Honestly, I still just like the trench coat guy. Which means I would probably really enjoy painting the new sleeper cell, because they, I think all of them one guy has a trench coat on. But unfortunately, you just have to have a bunch of core. Oh, I guess I should hit this real quick with some of this bony matter. I think I was gonna leave some of that like white because it's a little gray from the zenithal, but looks a little strange. I don't even know what's happening up here. This whole sculpt on this dude's side of his head gets a little lost. So, whatever. Okay. So, that's these 6 guys done. Unfortunately for me, I still have the other squad to paint, except for the one Ion dude, because I kept him in his original horrible paint job just for relic's sake, so you could see how ugly and terrible he started out. So that is it for this one. I don't know, because honestly, next Monday, if anything, I'd probably just be painting the same dudes, and I might just want to slowly chip away at that as I can, because they're, I don't know what it is about the Rebels specifically that I just don't particularly enjoy. Maybe it's knowing that they're just not good, so you are just painting something and you're putting a lot of time and effort into something that's going to die in, half a second. And again, it doesn't help that I'm not a Rebels player. So, there's probably numerous things that come into play there, but we'll see. Maybe next Monday we'll do some basing stuff if I can get some files for some basing stuff, so like some fern leaves and stuff. Maybe we'll workshop a new scheme for the Rebels, because I do think if I could just get the Rebels to a state visually that I like in their entirety, because I don't mind this presence, like the details specifically I'm not a fan of, but the actual color scheme, once they're based up and all out on the field, this kind of Rogue One like tan blue color scheme I do like. I just need to get a base that I think makes me excited to want to play them, so we'll get there eventually. So maybe Monday we'll do basing stuff next Monday. Thursday is tabletop stuff, probably around the same time Eastern, like 4:15, 4:30ish, and I'm really excited about that one. I've got a little bit more work to do for that before we get to that point, but it's going to be special operations for Legion, and we're going to be playing the Bad Batch in a kind of like a narrative mission, which I've only played special operations once since it came out, and I figured it's a good solo short form kind of opportunity to do something. So, and for those of you who don't know anything about Legion special operations, that might be interesting also. So that's going to do it for this one. I will see you guys. Actually, there will be a video, a regular standard upload video, every Friday, most likely going forward. That's the plan. The next 3 Fridays are already done and scheduled. And I'm already got a list of things that I'm going to probably work on over the next couple weeks to hopefully keep that going. Most of it's going to be Legion stuff for now. I might sprinkle in Warcrow stuff, and if I do, I might double upload on those Fridays just for the sake of it not being a weird one-off thing. So we'll see. But now, that is it. I appreciate y'all being here, as much as these Rebels were a pain in the ass, and I'm not thrilled with their end result. They're done, and that's something. So I'll probably see you guys for painting stuff next Monday, for some basing stuff Thursday for Special Operation Legion, and if you don't care about any of that, Friday is a new video. So, all right. Anyways, I'll stop yapping. I will see you guys next time.
The power of the dark side.